Hello, everybody. Spider here, DeFi Car Podcast, coming to you from San Antonio, Texas. My guest, Khortni Kamyron. I gotta ask you. I saw your name, and is it spelled that way? For I mean, did your parents obviously they came up with that, but why was it spelled that way though?
So my mom, if you would ask her, she would say, "Oh, it was the drugs back in the 80s." But truth be told, she just sounded it out, and that's what she came up with.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, because I saw that and I said, man, you know what? I mean, I guess is it kind of, I mean, not a pain, but is it having to explain it to everybody when they meet you how to spell it?
Sometimes I think I like talking about it just because it is unique. And for the longest time, I was trying to think of like one word that would describe me. And my name spelled the way it is totally me. So I kind of like it actually. And it's very unique because once you see it, you don't forget it.
No, yeah, because I saw it and I was like Courtney, and I said, okay. It took me a while to pronounce it just because I was like, let me make sure I get it right. But I was like, man, it's got to be Courtney, right?
Yeah.
I brought you on here. Of course, you have a fight coming up. This is going to be for the Sparta Sports and Entertainment promotion, April 30th. Now, of
Yep.
course, we talked earlier, and you have competed in boxing, kickboxing, and MMA when it comes to amateur circuit. Now, are those all because I mean you're trying to stay busy, or are you just pretty much trying to feel every sport out?
It was actually a little bit of both. So I started out kickboxing because I had no grappling background whatsoever. Um, and so we just kind of kept going with it. And then we had two boxing opportunities that popped up. Um, it was in 2020, the summer of 2020. And the first one was like a short notice fight. I think I took the fight on like 10 days notice.
Wow.
And and it was just to like stay busy because I hadn't been in the ring for a while. And so it kind of like got my feet wet again, and it was to try something different because I'd never boxed before. And we wanted to see kind of how my skill set was taking away my legs. Um, and then we had another boxing opportunity pop up 4 weeks after that. So I went ahead and took that one as well. Um, and then the MMA came later after I started working my ground game, after I started working the takedowns. Um, and I really, really like MMA. Like it's so different. You really get to be creative with your environment. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
No, you see, and I had to ask because I mean, everybody that I ask when it comes to a lot of the fighters have been pro for years, and they always say the same thing. They say, "Man, I wish when I was an amateur, I would have done everything just so I can kind of, like you said, get your feet wet and see what works, what doesn't."
Yeah.
But the fact that you're doing that now, when the time does come, because right now you're still an amateur when it comes to a competition, the time comes, are you looking to go pro for all platforms? I mean, will you still be willing to do kickboxing and boxing?
I started so late in my age, I guess. I really just want to see where this will take me. So whatever opportunity comes about is kind of where I'll go. I know that there's a handful of like MMA offers as a pro. I also know that there's bare knuckle boxing as a pro, which has kind of been thrown my way a handful of times. I don't know a lot about like kickboxing. I haven't seen a lot of pro matches like that, but really, I just want to do stuff. I want to do whatever I can while I still can.
No, yeah, and I mean being in Colorado because I know there's a lot of promotions out there in that state. So I
Mhm.
mean, do we have kickboxing a lot more? Because out here in Texas, we do have them in Muay Thai kickboxing just started kind of picking up again for
Mhm.
us here in Texas. But do you guys get a lot more action out there when it comes to kickboxing, MMA?
Yeah, there's the promotions out here stay pretty busy. I want to say there's a card every 6 to 8 weeks. Um, between the three promotions that are like local here in the metro area, they're constantly like cycling around each other. There was a card last Saturday. There's a card now on the 2nd, so this Saturday, and then the next card will be April the 30th. So there's a lot going on, not to mention, all the other smaller promotions all over the place.
Oh yeah. You
Mhm.
see, and that's one of the things, because when this whole COVID thing kind of started sizzling down and the world started opening up, a lot of promotions started like scheduling fights for the weeks, for the months already, because I mean, everybody was kind of behind on competition, on a lot of fighters that I knew personally that were still amateur. They went ahead and just went pro because they were like, man, I already lost a year.
Yeah.
I mean, are you looking to take your time with the amateur circuit?
No, so I was very fortunate during COVID and I was able to stay pretty busy. We were able to seize any opportunity we could for promotions that were still able to have fight cards. Um, so actually, fingers crossed and everything going well. I have this fight lined up on April the 30th. I have another one lined up in May, and that should be the end of my amateur career.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And of course, like I asked earlier, so on this, I mean, you will be sticking to nothing but mixed martial arts for the time being, right? As soon as you go pro.
Yeah, when I go pro, like whatever makes sense, whatever's the right move to do for me is definitely the opportunity that I'll take.
No. Now, and let me go back when you first started training. Now, what was it that kind of intrigued you to want to try and compete? Was it like jiu-jitsu, or would you say there was no grappling? So was it kick? Was it for health, for fitness? What was it for?
Yeah, so actually I never had any inkling, no desire to fight whatsoever. My daughter actually started training with a friend of hers at the gym. She was training in jujitsu. Um, and the head coach there, which is my head coach now, Michael Sullivan, he was like, "Hey, you're sitting here watching the kids class. Like, why don't you start lifting while your daughter's training?" And I was like, "All right, cool." So I started lifting and getting strong, getting healthy. And a friend of mine had asked for me to do a kickboxing class with her one night, just for the hell of it. And I immediately just fell in love with everything about it. It became very therapeutic for me. Just hitting mitts, concentrating on learning a new skill, just being on the mat was able to like shut my brain off. Like all the outside commotion that happens on a day-to-day basis, that all turned off, and it gave my brain a break for that little bit of time that I was on the mat learning what I was doing. Still had no plans on fighting. I just liked doing what I was doing. And then there was a local Muay Thai tournament that I decided to try after like 6 months. And I ended up competing against a girl that had 8 fights. And it was like my first fight. I did not win, but I lasted all 3 rounds. So I was pretty proud of myself. But um, some things that had happened in my personal life following that fight kind of like it kind of put me off from fighting for a while. So I spent another year and a half like really just working and getting better. And then my coach came to me one day and he was like, "I have a fight for you." And I was like, "No way." He's like, "Yeah, we got 3 weeks." And I was like, "Oh crap. All right." So I took my first actual, it was a Muay Thai fight, on 3 weeks notice, and I ended up winning. And from that point on, like I've never wanted to do anything more in my life.
Nice. No, you see, and I always ask because I guess where my studio is at, we're actually inside a training facility here where they teach, jiu-jitsu and MMA. And the
Mhm.
parents, like you said, they're always sitting down in the lobby or they'll be out there watching the kids. And it does happen where after a while you start seeing them training because they're like, we're here, might as well get something going. So, and
Yep.
I gotta, that's how they get you guys, right? They're like the little, but
Yeah.
before this, I mean, did you participate in any sports like growing up, like in middle school, high school?
I did volleyball in high school for a couple of years, And then let's see, I was a cheerleader in middle school for a year, but other than that, no. I was my extracurricular activity was driving my parents absolutely bonkers. Um, yeah, not doing what I was supposed to be doing. So,
No, and I asked too because it happens a lot where people have no training whatsoever when it comes to combat or anything, martial arts, and because of that, I mean, they basically their foundation is pretty pure, and there's no outside, influence or anything. But I mean, obviously, how long have you been training right now?
so I started training at the gym when I was 29, and I am now 36.
Okay, okay. No,
So
and
I
I
think
mean,
we've been there for about 7 years. Yeah,
nice.
yeah, a little over 7 years.
And for those out there, I mean, watching this, of course, I mean, what do you say when it comes to, because obviously they don't have to fight. You can go in there for fitness, for self-defense. I mean, would you say it's a confident booster for people out there going through, stress or whatnot?
Oh, absolutely. Like, and even if it's like not the getting hit part, just finding something to focus your mind on, um, and learning a new skill, right? You're getting better, you're getting healthier. So it's definitely it's a positive all the way around.
Oh yeah, you see, and one of the things I always tell, because even here, like parents bring their kids, and they're always like, "Oh, how are the classes?" And I always tell them, I said, if anything, it's going to keep the kid busy for an hour and a half. They're going to be off their phone. They're not going to be stuck to their laptop. So it's kind of good to kind of, like you said, shut down that brain and just concentrate on something else. Which is a good mental shutdown. From work, of course. But
Mhm.
let me ask you, after this fight, you said you have another one coming up. Is that one going to be for MMA as well?
Yeah, so that one is actually for an MMA title.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And in Colorado?
No, that one is going to be in Oregon.
Oh, okay. No. Okay. Well, I mean, let me ask. When it comes to, because this next fight coming up, of course, it is going to be in Colorado. How far are you from the fight itself, from the venue?
I live an hour south of where the venue is.
And of course, Oregon. I mean, how far is that from you?
I don't know. I have to fly to get there.
Nobody wants to drive though, right? That's all you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we just have to fly out there. But I'm pretty excited because I haven't been able to fight in Colorado in well over 2 years. I think my last fight in Colorado was December of 2019.
Wow. Well, why is that though?
So when COVID happened and all the restrictions and everything, a lot of the promotions couldn't, with the restrictions in Colorado, they couldn't hold events. So Sparta actually moved up to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they were hosting fights in Cheyenne because the restrictions were a little more lax, if you will. Yeah, open. Um, and so and that's just a 2 hour drive for me to Cheyenne. So I think I had 3 fights for Sparta during the whole COVID era. So the fact that they're now back in Colorado, it just kind of, it's an hour away. All my friends and family here in the Denver area can drive an hour to go watch. A lot of my friends from the gym, they're super excited because they've never seen me fight live before. It's always been, online or on the pay-per-views. So,
And let me ask you, I mean, being that you're gonna have friends and family there watching you, does that make you nervous, or does that kind of like
um, yes and no. Like I obviously want to perform to the best of my ability and I want to make everybody proud of me. And in the same sense, I've learned to kind of shut off who is in the crowd,
right?
because at the end of the day, I have to focus on one thing, and that is me and the girl that's opposite of me in the cage.
No, and talking about your opponent, I mean, of course, what do you know about her? I mean, is she from Colorado as well?
Yeah, so she is actually from up north, not too far from where the event is, and then I know she moved out to Las Vegas. I'm
Okay.
not sure how long ago, but that's kind of her hometown area. Um, Her and I were supposed to fight in January of 2020, and the card that we were going to be on like completely fell apart. Like none of the waiters were making weight, nobody was turning in their paperwork, and so it was just a shit show all the way around. So we actually didn't end up fighting, and then she wanted to just fight MMA, and I wasn't there. I was still wanting to do kickboxing and stuff. So now that I can actually fight MMA, or want to fight MMA, I got the message from the promoter, and she was like, "Hey, I want to make this fight happen." I was like, "Yes, let's do it," you know?
And of course, I mean, there's no animosity. I mean, this is just for
Oh
competition, right?
no. Yeah, yeah. So I have nothing but respect for her. The MMA community, especially in Colorado, is pretty like tight, and everybody knows everybody. I've met her and her husband a handful of times. They're sweet people, you know. I have no hard feelings. It's nothing but respect every time I get an opponent that actually follows through with stuff. So, I think we're both just excited to get in there and put on a really good show. I think we both probably have the similar mindset where we have something to do while we're in there. And then when the gloves come off, we're cool people.
Right. No, yeah, definitely. You see, and I've been covering the sport here in Texas for over 10 years. And one of the things, like the people that started back then when they were amateurs, I mean, they're all professionals now. Some of them
Mhm.
have gone to UFC, and it's cool to kind of see them still on that level where they're humble. They're just people, man. People,
Yeah.
when you may finally make it and you're up there, I can imagine people messaging you. You get 100 messages, so it's kind of hard for you to get back to people, but yeah, I mean, it's just like you see them at the gym and they're just like everybody else, right? I mean, we're all human, especially, they see you guys in the cage or in the ring and they think, oh man, these people are, brutes but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like right now, you're at work right now, right?
Yeah. I'm at work right now, and that's a funny thing that you mentioned, that we have like this stigma that we're all a bunch of jerks or brutes or whatever. When I first met my boyfriend, he was like, "Oh boy, she's an MMA fighter," like thinking I was gonna be. And even the people that he knows, they're like, "You're dating a fighter," and he's like, "Yeah, but you would never even know because me, like a lot of other people, like we're just really down to earth. They're just a special kind of weird to get in the cage and do what we do."
I mean, it is because, of course, I mean, the fact that you guys spend all those hours and days at the gym, I mean, of course, you develop that kinship with your teammates and your coaches. So I mean, how does that work for you now? I mean, that you're dating. When I mean, is it like once you get home, do you shut off the gym thing and just concentrate on home?
No, so we don't live together, but we talk, every night on the phone, or he comes and stays with me, I go stay with him. He is actually super, super supportive. He's helping me build my brand up. He has some background in training, if you will, so he'll show up to the gym sometimes and work with me, and kind of help push me a little bit more, make sure that I eat really good, and uh, yeah, and we have gym outings, he'll come with us.
All right. Well, that's good though, because that's one of the things.
Yeah,
I mean, I know people make fun of it because once somebody starts dating at the gym, it's like, okay, well, we'll see you later.
yeah,
The people start coming around, and but to have somebody like that right off the bat, I mean, that's got to be good because obviously you want to pursue this, right?
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. That's one of the my coach was saying that when I first started dating, he was like, "All right, like, see you later," and I'm like, "No, no, no, it's not like that. Like, this is my priority." He knows where I want to go with this, and so that was, like a prerequisite to me dating, is you have to understand that this is what I do, and this takes precedence over a lot of other things. My kids obviously come first.
Right.
Um, and then I have a really good balance of work, training, my personal life. Like, I don't know how I do it, but it is a really good balance with everything.
Oh, and how does your work feel about you competing like this?
Oh, they love it.
Hey, did you talk as well? Did they talk to your fights?
Yeah, so my last fight here in Colorado, my boss showed up to that one. Worked for a really small company, so it's kind of nice. Um, they're really cool with the flexibility. So if I need to like shift my schedule around, um, they let me kind of make up my own hours as I go on a week to week basis, depending on like what I need to do for the week. Um, if I have to go out of town for fights, like they're like, all right, cool, whatever you need. Um, super, super supportive. The only thing is when I came back after breaking my face from my last fight, my boss, she was a little like, oh my God, you need to take care of yourself. And they made sure that I had everything I needed, you know, because I was like, don't get hurt again. Please don't get hurt again.
I know. I was years back when I used to compete in jiu-jitsu and tournaments. I worked at the post office, and I used to take my boss for the weekend off because, of course, the tournaments are on Saturday. And you know, whenever they would allow me to go out there and compete, he would always tell me like, "Man, if you get hurt, you're still showing up Monday." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here Monday." So, but you know, but I never did. I mean, it was a grappling and jiu-jitsu, so it was pretty safe. You know, I mean, we tapped right. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as what you're doing right now, because you say you are branding yourself. Sponsors. I mean, do you have any sponsors helping you for this bout?
Not yet. I have sent out some sponsorship packets. I'm waiting to hear back on a few things. I have two sponsors that have kind of been with me from the beginning, and they do gear and supplements and stuff like that. But as far as any local sponsors, not yet.
And I mean, if somebody's watching this and they're willing to help you out, I mean, where can they reach you at?
Absolutely. So they can reach me on Facebook or on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Khortni _ and Facebook is Khortni Kamyron, or my athlete page is the Headhunter Khortni Kamyron.
Yes, you see, and I'm glad you brought that up, the Headhunter. And I was going to ask, was that because of kickboxing? I mean, was that kind of?
I don't know. My coach came up with it, and um he was like, you know, you're the head of your household, you're the head of your family, and you're a hunter, and you're hunting heads while you fight, so it makes sense. And I was like, okay, sure. And it kind of stuck.
Yeah, you see, I would have never thought of that. But yeah, I mean, if you're the head of household, then you know that's it.
Yeah.
You're the one. Now, of course, when it comes to training, I mean, obviously you work. What is your schedule like during the week, like come fight week? I mean, you're already training, getting ready for it, right?
Yeah. So um where it's at right now is I get up at 5 and I run down to the gym, to like the local 24-hour gym, jump on the treadmill, knock out a couple miles, sit in the sauna for a little bit, and then I go home, I get ready, I get my son off to school, come to work, leave work, go home, change my clothes, grab my kid, go straight to the gym for another 3 hours, and then go home, shower, hang out for like an hour, and then go to bed.
And do it all over again, huh?
And do it all over again, Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday. Friday's like typically my off day, to let my body rest. And then I'm back in Saturday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. Sundays are, right now they're active recovery days. So we've been like hiking and, you know, just moving in general. Um, and then come fight week, I'll just go to work and relax a little bit if I need to, you know, take a little bit of extra time off so that I can go um, sit in the sauna, or if I need to, like, if I get jitters or something, I'll go into the gym and move around and stuff like that with my coach. So yeah.
And come fight night, a lot of people, of course, they get to pick their walkout songs. What are you going to be walking out to that night?
So I actually have a new walkout song. It is Death March by Motionless in White.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then, I mean, obviously, is there a reason for that?
Um, my boyfriend suggested it to me and I heard it. I like the opening intro of the song. I like the beat. I like the intensity that it has. And in the first verse, he talks about fighting. Um, so it kind of like it just works. And I had, you know, my one walkout song that I had for a handful of fights, and then a lot of people wouldn't play it because of the F-bombs in it, you know. So this one doesn't have any F-bombs, which is great. I don't know, I like it, I can feel it, you know.
Yeah, it builds you up walking to the cage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, because you are in Colorado, I mean, I know a lot of guys from Texas have fought out there. They go out there to compete. they always talk about the altitude. Is there a big difference when you're out there? Have you ever been like outside of Colorado and felt that? Like when it comes to the
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I go to the central US, you know, Kansas, Missouri area, I can feel it a little bit. When I went to Florida in September, I felt like I had a never-ending gas tank. Like it was crazy. And then when I come back, it's obviously terrible because it takes, you
lungs all
know,
over?
it takes a little bit of time to readjust back to altitude. But you know, we just kind of get right back with it. It sucks, but you got to keep doing it anyways.
No, no, definitely. Now, of course, I mean, this fight is going to be April 30th at the Budweiser Event Center, Sparta Sports and Entertainment. I mean, for those watching this, I mean, what can they expect come fight night?
So my plan, my hope is to just get in there and fight to the best of my ability. I've had to overcome a lot of stuff this year so far. And so there's a lot of passion behind getting to this fight. Um, this is my 13th fight. This is the Sparta AVM 13 card, and 13 was my mom's lucky number. And my mom just passed away in January, so it kind of there's a lot. Sorry, I'm like getting a little teary-eyed right now. There's a lot of emotion in this one. So I just want to get out there and do there's, you know, I want to learn from my last two MMA fights. I want to do better and I just want to be like the best that I can be for this one.
No, no, definitely. Now, of course, Courtney, don't hang up yet. I do thank you for coming
Okay.
on board. Of course, you said your page is the Headhunter, Cameron.
Mhm. The
Yeah,
Headhunter, Khortni Kamyron.
I'm gonna post that on the description as well as the info for the fight. But I do
Okay.
thank you for coming on this. Everybody else, this is Spida, the Fight Card Podcast. Till next time, follow up.